Hey everybody, it's Michelle LaVore and
Devin LaVore
coming at ya. And we're so glad that you're here, and we just pray that you guys are having a great day and that you will be blessed by what we have to share today.
Yeah.
And we are going to be going over Act 1, Scene 50, and of the restoration play that the Lord has had us in since April of last year. And it's been a good
since Passover,
week.
Basically, like after Passover, like a little week after Passover, or something like that. Or,
it was. We officially started the play last year on April 13th.
And what number did we get? A ton. 52.
Oh, yes.
52,
all
52,
day, the
52,
first day,
52, 52,
we
52.
saw literally almost every
crazy.
hour. And
maybe
just
the Lord was trying to tell us then, I'm just going to drop this in your spirit right now. I can't explain it to you because you're going to get mad if I tell you what it means, but you're going to be at this for about 52 scenes. We would have been mad. I think we would have been mad.
We would have been
as much as we love the Lord, we would have been just discouraged. And we're just like,
Lord, how is that possible?
I'm done.
It's like, just trust me.
I'm done. Bless you, Lord, but can you just take me now? I'm done. I'm just kidding.
No. But before we go off into a tangent,
welcome to the Tangent Channel. She's Addendum. I'm Interruptus.
So, welcome.
And this is the Tangent.
But we do want to just give a huge thank you before we begin to everyone who continues to help support us and what the Lord is doing with us in our lives. And so, huge thank you.
That's
to
sign language for thank you.
All of you. Yes. And we are support-based, so if you would like to give to us, you can. We have a PayPal link below, and you can just click that. So we're just going to jump right in. I feel like, today we were seeing some videos, just the thumbnails that have come out, and it's talking about coming out. And it just fits right into what the Lord has been sharing with us all week.
Like all week.
Well,
it was Kate Nash. She came out with a word just last night. It was like, the word for Passover is coming out. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, this is just crazy. I think the Lord might be trying to say something.
So, and it does seem like that. I feel like when the Lord starts speaking, it's like things just start popping out all over the place that are saying similar or the exact same things. Mm-hmm. And so for us,
to help you believe, really.
Yeah, and to encourage you in what he's saying.
Yeah.
And so for us this last week, the Lord has really been highlighting the number 8:17, and for us that means Genesis 8:17, and it talks about.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Got our little laptop here. Just blessing that it is. Praise the Lord.
Is it a laptop or a laptop?
It's a laptop. Where I'm from, it's a laptop. For y'all, it might be a laptop. Now I done really messed up because I said y'all. Because some people have to be, what you mean y'all? No, I think it's a laptop, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Pull it back.
Yes.
Pull it back on. Welcome to the Tangent. No, I'm just kidding. She's Addendum. I'm Interruptus. Anyway, Genesis 8:17 says, "Bring forth every living thing that is with you of all flesh, birds and beasts and every creeping thing that creeps on the ground, even the little insignificant things. Bring those out too." Mm-hmm. The Lord brought out what I thought was a little creeping insignificant thing recently, and I'm just like, oh, you want that too? Yep, bring that on out. Mm-hmm. That they may breed abundantly on the land and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. Mm-hmm. I'll just be your Bible guy. You just say it, and I'll just bam, just go right to it.
But, so Genesis 8:17 was just a huge scripture, literally, from Tuesday, Wednesday, he's literally been speaking it this whole week. And and it was just talking about, once again, bringing everything out of the ark, bringing everything out of what God has stored and housed in our hearts, things to do. And so for us, really, a lot of it is like, God's like, I want you to bring this out and start breaking things open. And so there's been a lot of areas of our life where God has He's just been putting vision, putting ideas in the heart, and we haven't had the opportunity to really pursue or go in those directions. And so now the Lord is just like, all right, I want you to start breaking those things open, start talking about them. That's really kind of for us right now. It's like, all right, let's start dreaming. Let's start talking about these things. Let's start taking steps in that direction.
Yep.
And
preparing yourself,
Yeah, to just really fully prepare.
Can I say something on that? Because think about it. This was God speaking to Noah in an ark that was like massive.
Yeah.
He was floating around in a little city. You know what I mean? He was floating around in a small town. That took time to get all those animals and everything, and just, come on, let's bring them out. I mean, that took some work.
Yeah.
That took a lot of work, so.
Yeah, and so the Lord's just been really speaking to us kind of for, since the beginning of January, of just like really starting to bring things out for us, and we've been doing that. But again, the Lord was bringing the scripture up and even speaking to even more places that He's like, hey, there's a box up there, why don't you get that down? And so it's kind of like, if you were to put all your stuff in storage, and then it's like, okay, guys, go ahead and start bringing that out. Let's open these boxes. Let's remember what's in here, and like let's remember that. And you start taking it out, and it starts. What does it do? Is it starts to ignite the heart. It starts to just be like, whoa, yes, I remember this. I Lord, that was that passion you put inside of me that's had to. He's like, but I needed it boxed up for that time that it was there. And so that's really for us been a huge piece of what's been going on this week, where the Lord is just talking about bringing everything out, opening those boxes up, pulling the stuff out, looking at it, really kind of re-familiarizing ourselves with like, okay, the vision of what God has and in these particular areas of our life. And so it's been really good. And it's funny because I think for me, it's, I think the Lord, He's so gracious because He allows us to process in how we need to process. Because, I was still, honestly, at the beginning of this week, dealing with a lot of the contention. I know I talked about that in our last week's video, and just kind of how the Lord was, we gave that vision of the Shire and stuff, and little did I know it wasn't fully done yet, because like Monday and Tuesday, the Lord was still working. I was just trying to remember. Yeah, it was Monday and Tuesday, and where He was just really just bringing everything out. And so it was still difficult. There was still a lot of contention for me in my heart with the Lord.
Well, because you can take the Hobbit out of the Shire. Now comes the process of taking the Shire out of the Hobbit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, that's a longer thing. It's like the destruction of the Shire, that was easy. What you mean that was easy? Oh, no, trust me, that was the easy part. Now comes the long, hard part. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's not the long, hard part, but it's like you gotta, like when communism fell in Romania, it still was built up in the people's hearts because they didn't know how to live any other way.
Yeah.
They didn't know what freedom was. You say freedom to them, they have no idea what do you mean freedom? I don't understand. And then, of course, there was a lack of education and teaching there, too, That's why the Lord never, sets you free and just lets you go. No, He sets you free to come follow Him and learn and be His disciple and learn how to do things, And that's been kind of like your thing.
Yeah, no, that was kind
I'm setting you free.
Yeah. No, and it was really interesting. We had you had a vision of like what the Lord was doing for me, and it really was so accurate because
You want me to tell it?
Yeah, you
tell
can go ahead and tell it. But
that
before you
vision
go,
was hilarious. It
Yeah.
made me laugh. You can tell I just laughed just at the memory of it.
But I really do think, though, in a lot of ways, for me, that the vision and just what God was doing, and it made sense after I got the vision, because it was kind of like before all this stuff is happening, and then you got the vision, and it was just like, oh, that makes sense. But I feel like from then, like from that point on, the rest of this week, it's just really been really actually quite awesome, even though there's been a lot of moments of contention. As far as, and when I'm talking about the contention for me, it's really has a lot to do with being able to really communicate with, okay, this is what's going on inside.
Communicate in the feeling.
Yeah, in the feelings, in the moment.
Not let the feeling shut you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's just learning for me even more so on just how in those moments to really just kind of share and express what I'm going through. But I'm telling you, had the Lord not done what you're going to show or share with the vision, it's like it wouldn't have been, I think, I don't know, it just seemed like it was easier after that. And I feel like the Lord, he really did take...
That's the Lord.
Yeah, he really did take out some things for me. And it was just like, whoa, okay, I can go walk this path. And because if you guys remember, in the last video, I was basically, the Lord was like, you have this journey before you. And it was really just kind of disheartening because I was just like, oh, man. But I feel like now...
Another journey? Come on. When are we going to get to the thing?
Yeah.
It's like, more journey? Seriously? Are you serious?
Yes. But I feel like
I want to give a little animation to what's going on in there, you know, so people can understand a little bit more, you know.
Yeah. Thanks. But I feel like now it's like... I'm in a place where I'm actually like not dreading going forward in the journey as far as just like, okay, you know, and there have been many moments of contention that have come up, but it's like I've been able to just go through them and they haven't been what they used to be. And
healthy development and healthy contentious moments.
Yeah.
You're just dealing with the conflict, and it's just a healthy outcome. Just like, all right, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm going through. What do you? Okay, well, we'll develop it. Okay, resolution. Okay, we're moving on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
and it's
it.
like, wow,
that feels
awesome.
weird, and it feels awesome.
but I mean, yeah. So
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you want to go ahead and just share this.
Oh yeah,
vision.
This was so hilarious. Because
it was so accurate.
What's really funny is, you know how God speaks to us through prophetic numbers? She was the only one that was getting the 43s.
Yes.
Which was it's the number of contention.
Yeah.
And then 44 is the number of the chosen one. I'm getting like 44s. I'm seeing 111. You know, you are my beloved son. I'm so well pleased with you. Which, that just stirred the fires of contention right there. It's like, see, look at, God, you know, you're always so happy with Devin, and I got to go through contention, you know.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Yeah, I was seeing.
It was like all week, right?
Yeah, I was
Non-stop.
seeing like 444 and 43s, and Devin's like, yeah, I saw like a 111 and.
Tell them about the father of the bride. The father of the bride part. Then I'll go into the vision.
I so felt like in Father of the Bride 2, there's this moment in that movie where the two main characters, Nina and her husband George, they're in this car and they just found out they're gonna have another baby, and you know, and they're older, and it was just like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do this.
Their firstborn daughter's getting ready to have a baby.
Yeah,
and now they're gonna have a baby.
Yeah. And so in this movie though, Nina is driving and she's going down, looking out the window, and she's just seeing all these
in dreamland,
beautiful pictures of moms and with their kids, and it's just happy, and she's like,
a mother skipping down the road with her daughter, and
then
she's got a balloon in her hand looking up at her mother. Oh, mother.
Yeah. And then you look out, George looks out his window, and he sees like the kids screaming and kicking the father and throwing
took his hot dog and threw it on the ground. He's like, I don't want this.
Yeah. And it was just like, I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I feel. Only you're Nina and I'm George. And I'm like, I'm looking out the window at like 444s, and you're looking out the window at your 111s. And it was like, Lord.
Oh my God. It was very comical.
It so was.
Because it wasn't just a couple of occurrences. It happened literally all week.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, this is really going to keep the flame of contention stirred in Michelle. But it was needed, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was needed. God's like, you need to see something.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to really, I'm going to free you.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not. Mm-hmm. And then you can decide what you want to do with the freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I think that really goes into what the Lord's doing. He's like, I want you to bring everything out.
Mm-hmm.
In your heart and the things that I've stored, but I'm bringing everything out as well, and I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to make sure that when it's time to depart, it's time to go into the next thing, it's time to fully come out of the ark, you're going to be fully ready and you're going to be fully prepared. And so it's like there's just been this, for me this week, of really, I think, coming out of the old and into the new. And
that really is the big overarching theme for you. That's it right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like bullseye.
Yeah.
So you want me to share?
Yes.
Because this fits right in. So I'm sometimes when, like in a birthing process, I can't do nothing. Mm-hmm. I can hold your hand, get my hand broke from the squeezing. That's about all I can do is offer you a hand to break.
Yeah.
But or at least severely bruised. But but I had this vision of Michelle, and it was weird. It was like she was on this bed, but it was like this bed was made, it was almost like a water bed kind of thing. It was really weird because it was like you were kind of sunk in deep into it, And Jesus was standing over Michelle. And he had almost like, it was weird. He almost looked like a blacksmith with the blacksmith thing, and but also like a doctor. It was weird. And so Michelle was on the bed, this bed thing, and the Lord was grabbing what looked like these huge black, almost looked like intestines, but they were like this big. They were huge and long. Almost like big snakes, but I knew that they were intestines. And he was just pulling these things out like this, like he was weeding, just like weeding the garden. He was just yanking them out. He's like, we don't need that. We don't need that. And I could see on the, I'm trying to figure out what pieces I should share, but I'm just going to throw it out there. You guys can put the puzzle pieces together. But on these, I could see writings on these things, and it's like, the writing said insignificant. It was like insignificant.
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. Worthless. I have nothing to offer. That kind of stuff. You know what I mean? You're just like, no, we don't need it. We don't need this mess. You know what I'm saying? But this is the funny part. As the Lord's doing this and Michelle's laying on the table, she is laying on the table and she's got this bed, right? Sorry. I think surgery, so I think a table, because that's what it was like. It was like a surgery. He's like, it was really kind of gross because I was like, Lord, is this right? I can't be seeing this. It looks like you're ripping her guts out. And he's like, keep watching. And when I saw what he was pulling, I was like, oh, okay, I gotcha. And she was just on the bed, just looking up at him with this fierce anger and just, she was clawing and scratching and fighting, but she was so like deep into this bed, like, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like that where you're so sunk into a thing, like sometimes when you go to those kids places and you get in that the ball pit, you can be so deep in it, you feel like you need someone to help you up. That's what it was like. Mm-hmm. And the Lord's just taking all this stuff out, and you're like fighting. Now this is the interesting thing. How many times does the Lord speak something to us and we fight against him and tell him that what he's trying to take out is right and what he's saying is right. So basically, Michelle is just going, no, Lord, you're wrong. You know, I don't have anything to offer. I am worthless. I am insignificant. And you're wrong for telling me otherwise. No. I'm standing. That's basically it, right? And it's just like, but this was the funniest part. That was a funny part right there. But the funniest part was the Lord was completely ignoring her. In this vision, he was just like, and I mean, she's fighting like a wild badger. I mean, she's fighting, and he's just going, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I was like, he is completely ignoring you. So I thought that was really hilarious, and so then I shared that with you, and then like, what did you think about all
I
that?
thought it was like right on. But the other thing, though, you had mentioned was that it was like that it wasn't actually like.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that part. I totally forgot about that part. Yeah, because I was reminded of this scene from, I think it's Iron Man or Iron Man 2. I don't know which one it is, but it's like Tony Stark. He's trying to put this arc reactor in his chest. He's taking out the old one. He's putting the new one in, but he needed Pepper to come and help him. And he's just laying on the table and I was like, now, you know, in reality, that's some fake body. Mm-hmm. And Robert Downey Jr., the character who plays Tony Stark, he's just kind of underneath it with his head attached to it. So it looks like he's laying on the table, but he's really not. And I felt like the Lord was like, that's what's happening with you.
Yeah.
The Lord's taking out all these things from a false body that's not even yours. Mm-hmm. It's a false identity that he's ripping out that you've been laying under. Do you feel that? That you've been laying under for like ever. It's like none of these things are true. And the Lord's ripping it out and making it really gruesome and nasty and gross to show you, oh, it's not even hurting, really, is it? And it's like, well, not really, no. Not the way it should.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yes, there was some contention, but there wasn't like devastation and disaster and just like the kind of pain that you might feel if someone was literally ripping your guts out. This video might be rated PG-13. Maybe should have said that at the beginning of the video. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It was just like you were underneath of it. And it was like the thing he was pulling out was just this false identity. He's like, that's not even who you are.
Yeah.
You could literally detach from all that stuff and come out from under that. Come out. Come out from under all of that. And you'll come into your new identity, your real identity in Christ, which is birthed from the light, birthed from truth, birthed in significance, birthed in value, birthed in worth. You know what I mean? You have a lot to offer. You know what I mean? All these things that the enemy just throws on us, you know? And I mean, those different things that the Lord was pulling out, I bet there's like 7 billion people on the planet that can relate to that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, that's what the enemy just puts that stuff on us, or it's in our culture, whatever it is. But the bottom line is, you know, the Lord's like, I'm going to set you free from those things. And he's like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to ignore all of your fighting and fussing and all of it. And I'm just going to do it. And you're going to see like, oh, this is actually a great thing you've done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and so it was just really, it was such a great picture because I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I was feeling, and just how like all of those things that like the overwhelmed and insignificant, all of those things had been coming out.
Yeah.
And so, but then it was like, so even this week though, for me, there was just some contention even with, as the Lord is saying, bring things out, because that's, it was like, I think it was Monday or Tuesday was just this idea of the Lord bringing, like, taking everything out.
Even he was bringing things out.
Yeah, he's bringing things out. But then it was like, okay, now I want you to start bringing things out. And even for me in that moment, it was just like, there was a contention in my own heart about like, oh, great, what does this mean? What does that mean? And all of this and my own ideas. But I think, like, but through it, the Lord has just been really, he just continues to press, like, okay, come on, let's bring things out, work through all of these feelings. And it's been actually really good because it's just been sharing and talking about it, and and to like get to the place where at the end of this week it was just like, we were, we spent a lot of time in prayer. In the last few, I forget which night it was, maybe Thursday night or something. We ended up praying most of the night. Like, we did our God time, everybody went to bed, and then we were just like full on just praying over all of these things. And then the Lord was just really even showing me again yesterday. I was like, well, Lord, what is it? Because a lot of times the question is like, what is it that you want me to do? And it becomes, like you were saying, it can become a performance thing, especially if you tend to be a performance-oriented person. Is like I can tend in that direction, and so instead it was just like, well, Lord, what is your heart for this? And that's where I felt like the Lord was like, I just want you to break things open, and it was just like, oh, okay, that makes sense. There's a process, even when, like we were talking about when we started
it's
taking
like you want
things
us to start
out of
writing books right now. That's gonna be, what that takes is. I'm not asking you to do that.
I'm just taking you, saying like, hey, bring out that box. Let's open it up. Let's kind of, like that sense of dusting it off and bring it out and kind of, okay, let's start stoking the fire, really, of those different areas of your life. And so, so that's been just a huge piece of this week. But actually, Devin's going to share some other visions that he had that really just go right along with what the Lord has been speaking. And I just...
Well, also, just to dovetail what you were saying, we were also, during this week, getting a lot of 110s. And with the 8:17 and 8:18, which Genesis 8:18 says, because Genesis 8:17 is bring forth every living thing, right? And in 8:18, and Noah went forth. I love this. Here, listen to this. Verse 16, go forth from the ark. Verse 17, bring forth every living thing. Verse 18, Noah went forth. So it was like, here's the command. This is what I want you to do. And then he did it. Yep. It says, and Noah went forth, and his wife and his sons and their wives with him, after being in the ark 1 year and 10 days. That's the first time you get that 1 year, 10 day thing. Joseph, he lived to be 110 years old. Joshua lived to be 110 years old. It was on the 10th day of the first month they crossed over from the wilderness to the promised land. So these 110s, you can see them throughout Scripture. We're not crazy number people. It's just the reality of the precision of the Lord and what He does and how He does things. And it's like we just knew, like, wow, we're coming to the end of something. So when you come to the end of something, that means it's the beginning of something else. So all this stuff that we've been hearing about coming out, that's like you're coming out of the wilderness. You're coming out of Egypt. You're coming out. Whatever you're coming out of, you're coming out. That's what the Lord is saying. You're coming out. And it was amazing. I mean, I thought we were good to go. And then Kane Ash comes out with her video. Just literally says, come out. I was like, I about melted. Like, are you serious? This is in the spirit for real, dude. And then also with that, the ending of one thing and coming out into another thing, I've been seeing the 11:52, all week like crazy, right? 11:52. And for me, that always references Isaiah 52:11, because symbols are symbols because you can look at that symbol and you know exactly what it means, exactly what it's communicating, right? What's the little pink ribbon mean? That's like breast cancer awareness or something like that. You don't have to have it written down there and then have a scripture attached or something like that. No, you know what it means. Yeah. And that's what's so cool about when God uses the language of numbers, which we've only been doing since August 2017, something like that, September. This is really, really cool. But if you read, listen, this has been all week. I am not kidding you. If you read Isaiah 52:11, it says this: depart, go out, come out, go out from there, the lands of exile, touch no unclean thing, go out of the midst of her. talking about Babylon. Cleanse yourselves and be clean, you who bear the vessels of the Lord on your journey from there. So it's talking about coming out and going on a journey. Road trip, anyway. But that's just to kind of like cap off that whole coming out type of thing. But of course, the vision that I wanted to share that the Lord's been giving me is really tied right into that, right? And so this is really, really interesting because, you can become super mega focused on your own life and what's going on with your own life. And sometimes that can kind of color what God's saying. When God's really speaking to the body of Christ, you think it's just you or something like that, But God just has a way of making himself known like he said he would to those who follow him. And so I had this vision. It was really, 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 really cool. And but it was kind of creepy along the whole PG-13 line there. So, but I saw the world like flooded, like in the days of Noah, completely flooded. But instead of one ark, I'm not kidding you, there were thousands, maybe millions of arks just covering the earth all over the place. And they're just floating and they're like bumping into each other. And there were so many. And those arks represented people and the lives of those people. And what was in those arks were the visions, the living things. And those living things are the dreams and the visions and the prophetic words that God has put in us, that we have gone through test upon test upon test, tried and tribulated. Is that a word? We've been tribulated. Several times we've been tribulated. You can be intubated. We've been tribulated. Right? Just to test to see is like, I've been testing you, like Lana Vosser said somewhere in her word, like testing you to see, can I put my glory in you? I've been preparing for you to be a house of my glory, you know?
And just, that actually was the first vision that you're going to share. It was of the arcs that you just talked about. It was we were reading a Lana Vosser word. It came out.
That's right. The mini arcs.
Yeah.
Right?
And it came out this last week. I can't remember the exact day. I know she puts out a lot of words, but it was specifically talking to pioneers. And basically like that there's the houses, the wells and the houses. And we ended up reading it that night, and it was just, it was so
It was like literally every sentence was like, wow. We haven't read a Lana Vosser word in a minute.
Yeah, but it was... during that reading, you had the first vision.
Where I just saw those.
Yeah.
That's what I saw.
Just like there were many arcs.
There was a bunch of them. And I was just like, because I heard that and I just saw it in the spirit. A lot of times that's what will happen. The Lord will just pop stuff in there, I'm like, whoa, there's a lot of people out there carrying that vision and carrying those living things, those living visions. It's just like, when the ground is dry, Genesis 8:14. 8:14 sticking out to anybody lately? That might be what the Lord's trying to show you. But when the ground's completely dry, this door opens. And so that's the second part. The Lord showed me this, the arks coming to land on dry land, and then the doors open. And then this door, and it's like, I'm like, God, what are you going to do? A long time ago in 2017, the Lord's like, Devin, you're thinking about your own life, and that's fine, because it's between me and you, but it's also between my family. There's nothing wrong. You don't have to mark yourself as selfish just because you're just thinking about what about us. That's not selfish. Peter asked that to me all the time. He's like, but Lord, what about me? And that was Peter. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. But the Lord was like, he directed me to the miracle of the loaves and the fish, right? And he was like, I performed one miracle, not 20,000 miracles. I didn't perform 1,000,000 miracles. I performed one miraculous thing, and all those people were fed. I performed one miraculous thing, and an entire nation went from bondage to freedom. Ooh. I feel the Lord on that one. An entire nation went from bondage to freedom. One miracle, and it was an epic miracle. Yeah. Miracles aren't small. They're, I mean, that's just what they are. I don't care if it's a floating axe head. That's crazy. That's a miracle. You know what I mean? And the Lord told me, He's like, I'll perform one miracle. And I believe that that's coming. I have no idea, honest to God, I have no idea what it's going to be. And I mean, if the Lord wanted me to know, I would know. And I probably would have made a video on it by now. That's probably why I don't know. But, right? You know, the Lord's like, I know your maturity level, Devin. I'm just give according to your ability. But there's just this miracle that took place that where the water just died down on the globe around the world. Some people might say that's the coming economic collapse. I've been hearing that for like a long time. Not that I'm saying it's not true, but whatever it is, all of these ark doors opened, okay? And there were like a bunch of people that came out of their own personal arks. That closed place, that place that God's had you in. Kind of reminds me of that vision where the door of the mountain opens up.
The cave,
the cave. But it was a bunch of people in this hollow type of mountain, and they come pouring out. And a bunch of them go to the right, and some of them go to the left. Mm-hmm. Some of them are going back to school. Some of them are going to recess. You know, but the bottom line is there's all these people pouring out, right? But then I saw these other arks. This is the creepy part. It was really disturbing. Sometimes the Lord just puts me He keeps me on my toes, and He really has a way of putting me out of my comfort zone. But then if you read the Gospels, you see the Lord doing that to the disciples all the time, you know? But there was these one arks, they opened up, and it was like a flood of black oil just comes out like the toilet flushing, just whoosh. Out comes this black oil. And I was like, ew. Like, what's that? That's not right, you know? And then there's this person inside the oil, and they're sliding down the ark. Out of the ark. They're just totally they're out of control. They're sliding down the ark. And then they get to the ground, and they stand up, and they're just covered in black oil. And they're just like, they're disoriented. They have no idea what's going on and what happens, you know? And then the vision ended. So I was thinking maybe you could, share on that part. Like, you could take over from there. Ding, ding, tag.
Yeah, so, when Devin was sharing this vision of just like, some of these ark doors being opened, and there's just all this oil that it's like that dark oil, and or black, basically.
Yeah, it's just black.
Kind of looking
It's kind of
sludgy.
shiny. Sludginess. It's gross. I was like, oh, man.
But I really felt like for some people, and I think that, like you said with the cave vision, I think there are those that have been in the cave and they've gone to school, meaning they've done the work that the Lord has asked them to do. And so when He opens and lets people out of the mountain, they're going to recess. Whereas some, they were in there, they stayed, but it's like the work that the Lord truly wanted them to do while they were in that place, they just were not able to do. And so because of that, when they come out, they'll be in a blessed place, but they're going to have to learn what He wanted them to learn. Mm-hmm. And so they have to go to school. And I feel like this...
That's still referencing the mountain cave vision.
The mountain cave vision. Yeah. And so I felt like this was a very similar vision in that there are those that they've been in their ark, and this is kind of based off of actually another vision that we have where I'm kind of getting this idea from. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to share that vision. I know. But
so vision Ganza.
I know.
Is that a word? No, I'm just kidding.
But in our other vision, the Lord was really, He was kind of comparing how in a car you put oil into a car, and it's to help the vehicle run. But if you don't change the oil and you just keep going, it's going to start to get dirty and black. Yeah. And
bad for the engine, actually.
Yeah. And so I felt like the Lord was saying there is like, His oil, His Spirit, He has been pouring His Spirit out. And in that process, He's been changing His people. Mm-hmm. But for some, as He's been pouring out His Spirit, it's been sitting there, but it hasn't actually been changing the heart. It hasn't been, the work hasn't been completed. And so because of that, there's actually been instead a blackening of what he had been saying. And I think that comes through, like, for example, disappointment, bitterness, going through just this journey, but it's like the effect that it's had on the heart has really just taken a great toll, so much so that they're really not able to move forward. They're hanging on, they're staying in the ark, they're remaining there, but and they're surrounded really by the words of the Lord, but it's been tainted. It's been just...
Well, and those living things, those visions and dreams and prophetic words and promises just have died. And they've died so much, so long ago that they've decomposed and they've rotted and they've literally just turned into black sludge.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like there will be the letting out for those people as well, but they're not coming out in the same way. Because it's like, instead of being able to come out and just run with the Lord in the direction, with the vision, with just the yes, this is amazing, they're coming out disoriented. And I think the disorientation is really coming from, whoa, this actually happened. What's going on? Oh, and so
this global miracle takes place. Whatever's going to happen, this thing, it's just like you're going to be a part of it, whether you believe it or not. That's why the Lord I remember in 2017, I'm like, Lord, what do I need to do? Nothing. What do I need to do to deliver this promise? Nothing. Lay on the table. It's like, I'm doing this for my name's sake, so that my name can be glorified again, so that people can see how good I am. I'm just doing it for myself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and so I think that's why it's similar, because those that come out of the ark that have the sludge, it's like the Lord is going to have to clean them. The Lord is going to have to bring a renewing and a refreshing and again, I think pouring out his spirit, because that's, you got to flush the car, and clean out that system, and then you can put new oil in it so that it can run properly. Yeah. And so I think the same...
It's still going to be an outpouring of God's goodness.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad if you feel like, oh, that's me. Ooh. Well, it doesn't matter whether it's you or not. It's still going to be an outpouring of his goodness.
But it's like they still are in a blessed place with the Lord, and he is still like, I know this was difficult, but it's like, okay, you stayed in the ark. That's great. All right, let's keep going from there, and so I think, I don't know, I just thought it was such an interesting vision, and I think just continuing.
It's like you didn't totally give up and go jump into a life of sin. You just I'm hanging on to the Lord at this point. I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like God's like, I'm gonna pick you up and refresh you and restore you.
Exactly.
But for those of you who have been utterly faithful and just like, my love for the Lord is as solid as a rock. And I know that that's his love for me, and just, you know what I'm saying? It's like there's gonna be just a great, and I think that does really, pertain to that whole pioneers thing, but anybody who's found faithful doing anything the Lord wants them to do for a really long period of time, he's going to come with his reward and his recompense in hand. And it's going to Ephesians 3:20 blow our minds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
So it's kind of been the nature of our week there, and all those different visions and puzzle pieces and elements of things, So it's just it's been really cool. It's funny because, 50 is the number of Jubilee. It's just funny that here we are in this transitional time.
Yeah. Coming
out of one thing, going into another. Another thing the Lord's been speaking is new things, new direction, new experiences, new memories, and it's just like, wow, okay, Lord, may it be done unto us according to your word. We come in agreement with you. Lead the way, we'll follow.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, what else are you gonna do? You know, you can't figure it out. You just have
No.
to follow the Lord, you know, follow the Spirit.
Yeah.
So
I think that's really what we wanted to share with you guys today. And I
Yeah.
do pray that you are blessed by what God's heart is saying. And that really is that it's a time to come out. It's a time to bring out everything that the Lord has put upon your heart. And obviously it's His leading and directing, but I really just believe He is preparing His people to bring out the very things that He's had shut up with them in the arks, you know. And it's like this, he's getting ready, He's preparing His people to come out to be able to just go with Him. And you know, I just think that we're getting ready to see something just amazing with the Lord. And
So that's why this playlist is called Into the Day.
Yeah.
Because it's like, a lot of times the Lord will give us a playlist title at the beginning, and it's like, I don't know that this really fits. But then when you go through the whole year and you see what He's doing, going through the whole playlist as it is, you realize, oh wow, this is what you gave us. You gave us this right at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know? Wouldn't you like to have investment in a company before it becomes a multi-billion-dollar company?
Yeah.
It's like, man, they're just a little street vendor. Invest right now. No, Lord. Well, because you say so, Lord. 10 years later, now you're a multimillionaire just because you invested.
Yeah.
You didn't do nothing. You just obeyed the Lord. You know? Cast your nets. You know what I'm saying? Not cast the nets, but cast your nets. Anyway. Come on, man. I'm almost 50 years old. I'm full of dad jokes.
Yeah.
You know? I'm almost 50 years old. Oh, God. No, I'm just kidding.
You're funny.
Man, I sure don't look it. That's for sure. Anyway. I'm serious, man. It's like, don't feel it either. You know? Well, I guess what is 50 supposed to feel and look like? But I am 49, so that's good. And I still got one more year, so
yeah,
before I'm old. Wait, what? Should we qualify that as an addendum?
No, that's called a tangent.
It's good. Oh, okay. It's a. What do you get when you cross a tangent and an addendum? An addendum? a tandem? A tangent?
I don't know. Anyway,
we
just pray that you guys are blessed, and until next time, we will see you guys later.
Love you guys.
Bye.